Great.
All right. So let's jump right in with Wes. Now, Wes, how do you say your last name?
Tudor.
Tudor. I've honestly, over the past week when I've been talking about you, I've been calling you Wes Tudor.
Well, when I was a kid, sometimes I'd be teased and they'd say the four-door sedan or the two-door sedan.
Not a good way to start the interview. I'm like, let me bring up this childhood trauma. Oh no.
But it's even worse if you think about the English kings, the Tudors, because they did a lot of beheading and stuff like that. So anyway.
Again, I don't know if this is going to bring people in, Wes. Now that we're talking about beheadings.
You asked the
We don't.
question.
That is true. That is true. Okay. All right. Let's refocus here. This interview is not about beheadings. Hopefully, this is about a meditation practice. And you are our special guest here at Black Cat Yoga on March 4th from 12 to 3. And we are so very excited. And special shout out to Sam from Aaron's Books, who made the introduction and put this together. She's our favorite. So thank you, Sam. And I guess we'll jump right in. So you are an amazing, well-educated meditation teacher. How did you find your way to meditation and mindfulness?
Well, I was lucky enough as a teenager that my father took me to a yoga center one time. It's called the Himalayan Institute. It's not too many hours away from where you are. And I had a lot of questions about life and the big existential questions, and I found that yoga and other Eastern philosophies did more to answer those questions for me to my satisfaction than anything I'd encountered so far. So really my beginnings, it was a philosophical pull, a spiritual pull. But as the years went on, I realized that meditation is just so incredibly practical that you don't have to have any interest in higher philosophy or spirituality to get life-changing healing benefits from meditation. And I've just become more and more down to earth and more practical as the years go on. I just want to help people now. The meditation can make such a difference in the quality of your life and like release your human potential in a way that very few other things can do. So I like to just say now I'm a practical teacher. I also discovered that the physical yoga postures, and not a lot of people know this, but the physical postures were designed and created to support the practice of meditation. But we in the West here have become completely fixated on the physical side. Even in the worst case, it's just more about fitness and body image, but just a new trendy form of exercise. However, the mind-body connection is undeniable. And the relationship between doing that style of exercise of yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong or anything like that, that helps your meditation practice so much and both ways. They're meant to be connected. There's meant to be a system there. And I discovered that over the years.
I could not agree with you more. My goodness, you are a Black Cat Yogi 100%. You fit right in here. Um, you keep saying that you are a practical meditation teacher and that over the years you've become more practical. Can you say more about that? Like, what do you mean when you say practical?
Well, on the one hand, in order to make meditation accessible to a lot of people, um, up until recent years, if you were going to encounter meditation, it was probably through some sort of Eastern religion or very what people might call new agey type thing. And there maybe felt like, well, but I'm Christian. I don't know that I want to like have Hindu gods and goddesses and around, or maybe I'm not comfortable with Buddhist ideas. So a lot of people have held back over the decades from exploring meditation because immediately it just triggers esoteric, far out, unusual Eastern religions to them. And so I want to remove that stigma and just say, hey, like, there's something here we can all benefit from that doesn't require any dogma, any belief system at all. That you can be any religion or have any spiritual orientation and still have a wonderful meditation practice. So that's one way. I'm practical in the sense that I want to reach the mainstream American, just because that's where I live, I guess. But I want to meet the mainstream American and say, hey, you don't have to be uncomfortable or afraid of meditation. It's so simple. It's just a skill. It's an art form that can benefit you, and it can be removed from all the philosophical things that you may have an issue with. But probably the main reason I say I'm a practical meditation teacher is because I came over the years of owning my own yoga studio and observing like how much interest there was in meditation, but how few people were actually doing it. How few people actually found a way to begin any kind of regular practice. So despite the media hype that meditation has been enjoying, that really started in the 60s with the Beatles and transcendental meditation, and that hype has just been building and building and building, and now it's mindfulness meditation and mindfulness, and everybody's heard of it. It's on every magazine, it's on TV shows, but are people doing it? And I realized not even in my yoga studio. Hardly anyone was doing it, just a handful. And one of the reasons for that is because it's just not being taught. There's no profession of meditation teacher. You still almost have to there's only a few avenues where you can get any kind of quality instruction in meditation. Often maybe you'll read something in a book, but that book was written for millions of people to try to spread it. It wasn't customized to you and your needs. So one thing I realized is, to be practical, students need to learn how to customize the practice for themselves. They need to learn what options are out there. I call it a toolbox, a meditation toolbox, and learn to pick and choose which techniques are going to suit them, their mind, at the stage of life and the mental situation they find themselves in now. But also the fundamentals are lacking. And this is why I love the approach the yoga tradition takes to meditation, is that there's an emphasis on physical posture and there's an emphasis on breathing. There's a lot of talk about breathing in other methods, but in yoga, you learn how to breathe from the belly, diaphragmatic breathing, that is the antidote to stress. It just lowers the stress level. And to just tell someone to observe their breath, but not teach them how to breathe, not to like teach them that, oh my God, the way you're breathing right now is going to block any attempts at meditation because it's perpetuating a fight-flight response. It's perpetuating a sympathetic nervous system response. Yoga does a great job, at least more old school yoga, hatha yoga, like I learned, teaches you how to breathe in a way that will help you relax. And we want to relax in meditation, right? We want to relax. Also, if your back hurts or your knee hurts or your hip hurts, you're not going to be comfortable enough mind-body connection here. If you're in pain, you can learn to meditate, but it's much, much harder. I'll just be honest, just be practical. Meditation can help people with chronic pain, but it is a little more challenging to get over that hump. But if you're otherwise not in pain, but when you sit to meditate, everything starts hurting, There's something wrong with your posture. No one has shown you the various options. And this is what I try to do. This is why I say I'm practical. I show people, look, you can sit on the ground on a cushion or blankets. You can use a meditation bench or like a Zen bench or a stool. You can be in a lazy boy recliner. I had one teacher that said, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I want all my students to be comfortable. You're all going to meditate in lazy boy recliners. Okay, that can be a practical approach, but there's also a tremendous benefit to sitting and learning how to sit comfortably with your head, neck, and trunk all in a straight line to help you maintain alertness and achieve relaxation at the same time. And that requires instruction. That requires a little bit of hands-on, maybe even personal instruction to help someone find and fine-tune their physical position. So those are some of the practical things to answer your question about practicality. Posture, breathing, and choosing the right technique and approaching it in a mainstream secular way is my emphasis.
I love that. And I love that you said options, because I think sometimes people, you mentioned people being scared away from meditation because they think it's a religious connection, which it can be, but it also doesn't have to be. But I think sometimes people are scared away from meditation because they aren't comfortable. They sit down and they get into, a position the same position we all think of when we think of meditation, legs crossed, sitting tall, in lotus position. And like you said, it's not comfortable or there's pain. So they immediately think that they can't do it. So I love what you said about giving options, different ways to do it. I don't know if we could get 20 lazy boys in the studio before your workshop, but can you say a little more about that, about what physical options there are, or things that, I don't want you to give away the farm before the workshop, but some different things that you offer for people to meditate?
Well, I give 3 major options in a workshop or a studio setting like you'll be providing. For those who are a little more flexible, they can sit on the ground on a cushion or on blankets. But there are ways of modifying that and tweaking that to make it comfortable in many cases where otherwise it wouldn't be. And then if that doesn't work, then we move down the flow chart and we explore the meditation benches where you're in a kneeling position. This doesn't require any hip flexibility. The only thing that might hold you back from a kneeling position would be if you don't have a soft enough surface to kneel on, or you have other knee or ankle problems. And again, there are little tricks of the trade that I learned over 20 some years of helping people meditate that I can just quickly diagnose what's causing the discomfort and fix it. And then maybe that posture will work for the person. And if not, then we move down the next step down the flow chart to exploring chairs, normal chairs, the type of chairs that you probably have a few of around the yoga studio. And I show people a couple different ways to meditate effectively in a normal straight back type chair situation. But then but at home, many people do have some kind of a reclining chair. And if they want to opt for that, if they're having physical limitations in other areas, I mean, even someday, God forbid, you're in a hospital bed, you can meditate in the hospital bed. There's no reason why there should be a physical obstacle to meditate if you're aware of the options at your disposal. A lot of people say at first in my workshops, well, why not just make it super easy and meditate lying down in the relaxation pose, Shavasana, the corpse pose. A lot of people love that posture. It's so relaxing. Many yoga teachers, if not all yoga teachers, like to end or begin class in that relaxation pose. But I'll just give you just a hint here. You're going to fall asleep or you're going to get foggy. And what we're looking for in meditation is to walk this tightrope between mental alertness and physical relaxation. So lying down in Shavasana is not ideal for traditional meditation. Now, it can be great for guided meditation. When someone's voice is leading you, as you can find on the plethora of meditation apps, tens of thousands of guided meditations, all different types of approaches, all different types of themes, ranging from healing to creativity to inner peace, whatever, you can find it. And those are fine. If that's skillfully done, you'll stay present enough to get the benefit when you're lying down. But I propose a kind of a cross training. I say, learn to meditate in a more traditional way where you're not dependent on an app or technology or someone guiding you. Learn to sit in stillness with your eyes closed and meditate internally without any external stimulation. And then sometimes, just for more of a deeper relaxation effect, try the guided meditations.
What is the benefit of building an at-home yoga practice? Because I'm sure there will be some people who are like, well, I can just go to a yoga studio or wherever and do my meditation there. What is the benefit of building an at-home practice?
Well, I can't really separate that question from what is the benefit of a daily practice. If you want to go to a yoga studio 7 days a week, and that studio allows a space where you can meditate for 20 minutes, and you want to do that 7 days a week. But again, remember, I'm a practical yoga teacher. That's not practical. Most people are not going to get in the car or even walk to a yoga studio 7 days a week. So it's back to my first comment, which is, what is the benefit of a daily practice? A daily practice. The benefits of meditation are cumulative. Stress and anxiety build up throughout the day, they build up throughout the week, and they leave an impression on your nervous system and in your mind, which affects the nature of your thoughts, your emotions, and even your actions. So meditation, I like to use the metaphor or a comparison that it's like mental hygiene. Meditation is mental hygiene. If you think of other forms of hygiene, like, how many days do you want to go without a shower? How many days do you want to go without brushing your teeth? Well, how many days do you want to go without clearing out the crap that's building up in your mind? I don't think too many people would skip those other forms of hygiene, and the plaque would build up on your teeth. You'd start to smell. Well, your mind starts to be less than what it could be if you don't do something systematically. And you can do, of course, other things like go for a walk in nature or exercise, but meditation gets it on a deeper level, in my experience. Meditation goes into the subconscious, and you start to release and heal tensions and anxieties and negative emotions that are buried a little bit deeper down inside you. Exercise is great for, like, maybe decompressing from some of the stresses of that day, but we not only have each day a buildup of stress and anxiety, we have a lifetime of buildup of stress and anxiety, to the point where a significant percentage of the population is locked chronically in fight mode, and they don't even know it. This is why you can't even get an appointment with a therapist these days, post-pandemic. It's nuts. We are suffering from this epidemic, this secondary epidemic of stress, of course, exacerbated by the years we had to deal with the COVID stress. But people need meditation now more than ever. That's all I have to say. And I just want to help people have access to it.
I love that you're like, in summation, people need more meditation now than ever. That's fantastic. I agree again, 100%. Honestly, Wes, you have kind of answered all of my questions. I am so excited to take this workshop with you, like honestly, and the way that you have spoken just on this interview, it's very accessible, and you kept using the word practical, and I feel like it's more of a conversation. It's not someone droning on at the front of a classroom. It's not someone who is speaking in parables, or things that you need like pre-information to understand. So you're making this practice really accessible, and I appreciate that. um, and it speaks to your mission of helping people and reaching mainstream with a meditation practice. So I'm super excited. Is there anything that you want to add about your workshop before we wrap up here?
Just, I remember a question that I forget if you asked it in this interview or just you sent it to me, but why 3 hours? Why do we need to do a 3 hour workshop? And honestly, I'm really glad you asked that, because I think some people get kind of scared. I've experienced over the years, because they think, oh my gosh, I can't be still or be quiet for 3 hours. Forget that. And of course not. But the missing piece here is that we're only going to be meditating for short periods in this workshop. And you're going to be doing so under expert, compassionate guidance. And you're going to be doing it within your comfortable capacity. I love that phrase, by the way. I heard that once at a yoga studio. Within your comfortable capacity. You're always in this workshop going to be within your comfortable capacity. And the thing is there are things we need to clarify to start. What is meditation? What is mindfulness? What's the relationship between the two? What's the difference between a guided meditation and sitting alone with your eyes closed? And what do you do if maybe you're uncomfortable sitting with your eyes closed? Maybe there's another technique that benefits you. So I want to first deal with some of the big, confusing issues that people have around meditation. And then we have to get down to the nuts and bolts. Then we have to break it down and practice getting in different positions, and give me a chance to come around and help you, and then test that out, do a little sit. And then we have to talk about breathing for a little while. And then we have to learn to observe our breathing and practice breathing in a way. So look, meditation, I'm just going to summarize all this. Why 3 hours? Because people maybe don't realize meditation is a skill and an art form. And if you can shift your thinking about meditation to thinking, oh, it's just sort of this passive thing that I do occasionally. I listen to something, or I maybe try to sit for 5 minutes and observe my breathing or something. There is an important element of passiveness in the attitude that you bring in, but there are also nuts and bolts fundamentals that will make or break your attempt to meditate. And getting comfortable physically, you know what? We're going to achieve it in this workshop. But just as a teaser, I normally prefer to have a full weekend with people, which I do in my weekend retreats at the Himalayan Institute. This 3-hour workshop is just the bare essentials to get you started on an effective practice. But don't be intimidated that you'll have to sit for long periods of time. It's going to be very interactive. We're going to be moving around a little. There's going to be discussion. And yeah, so that's, if you think of meditation as a skill, just my final comment, think of other skills that you've learned in your life. Think of learning a musical instrument, or learning to play a sport, or learning a foreign language. If you start to think of learning to work with your mind and your awareness and your consciousness, and you take that as seriously as you take these other endeavors, who learns to play the piano not practicing every day? Nobody. Who learns to play the piano without learning scales and arpeggios first? You don't just dive in and play Beethoven. Nobody. And who learns to play do a sport without doing the training that is specific to being successful at that sport. And I can tell you, because I've been trying to learn German, nobody learns a foreign language without practicing every day. So what could be more important, actually, and more foundational than learning to become aware of and improve the quality of our own mind, body, and nervous system? This is our hardware and our software. We have the ability to upgrade it, but it doesn't happen by itself. But it can happen with just a few minutes a day of regular practice. But you need the tools. Most people need some tools in order to be able to start to get those benefits. You're going to have to fall in love with meditation, as I have. And in order to fall in love with it, you need to start getting the benefits, and you need to start getting them soon. So you're going to get the benefits in this workshop. There you go.
I'm sold. I'm already sold. I'm there. And I love that phrase that you said, compassionate guidance. That's another good one. I like that a lot. And I love that we will have the opportunity to work with you one-on-one. You had mentioned before that because you've practiced for so long and taught for so long, you can easily diagnose an issue someone is having with sitting in stillness. So I think that's going to be an essential asset for a lot of people who have been maybe struggling finding their regular meditation practice. Compassionate guidance. I love that.
Can I say along those lines that I'm sure, I believe you're very well aware at Black Cat of the importance of teaching yoga in a trauma-sensitive way. And when you talk about the word options, that's one of the main principles of trauma-sensitive yoga, or trauma-sensitive anything, is that you're not forcing anything down anybody's throat. You say you can do this, or if you prefer, you can do this, or you can do this. You are the one in control, and you can choose your own pace and your own method. And that I just want to say, for anyone that might be considering it, coming to the workshop, that I'm aware of these issues, and I apply them in my meditation instruction.
That is so important. And you're absolutely right. We consider ourselves a trauma-informed studio. As a teacher, I consider myself a trauma-informed teacher. And even something you said earlier about, you didn't say it in these words, but you were describing meeting people where they're at. So, whether they have chronic pain, chronic illness, whether someone is carrying past traumas, has learned a certain breathing pattern, or whatever it may be. What I heard you saying was that your approach is meeting people where they're at on their journey and then finding what works for them, which I love it. I love it. I wish all teachers, and maybe someday it'll happen, but I wish all teachers would approach movement in that way. I think that's the way it needs to be. I'm so excited that you're going to be here, Wes. I'm so excited. So the workshop is on March 4th, which is a Saturday, from 12 to 3. We will have refreshments here for purchase for the 3-hour workshop. We'll have drinks. We'll have everything that you need for your practice. You're welcome to bring your own yoga mat. We do have mats here. Wes is bringing a lot of props as well, right?
That's right, everything.
All right, so we have everything that you need. All you need to do is register, and you can register at blackcatyogaliditz.com, or you can reach out to blackcatyogaliditz@gmail.com. And we are looking forward to seeing you soon, Wes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.